ball. Old graphics, new graphics. Old graphics, new graphics. It's basically a ladder former. I already have this one. We'll play that in a bit. I just want to show more store stuff. 128 games. That's, I think, almost twice what the Jaguar had in its whole lifespan. Then again, it's easier to rack up games when they're all digital. I'm going to find only the good ones. There's not that many good ones, but there are some good ones. Days of Doom is good. Remember that zombie board game we played in high school? This is like that, but as a tactics RPG. It's a grid-based, turn-based humans versus zombies thing. And you're on a road trip across the country trying to make it a sanctuary, and it's procedurally generated every time. So you can do multiple playthroughs and they'll be different. This is one of their big budget games recently. They put a lot of money into developing and a reasonable amount of money into marketing. So there's a lot of stuff on here that I would never have learned existed if it wasn't for this console. It's one of the nice things I can say about it. It's really good for discoverability, which is I think how they talk people into publishing on it at all. Is number one, it's free money, and Steam won't give you money to do that. They'll take money from you, and you might not ever see a return on your game on Steam because they'll get fucking drowned in a deluge of other small indie developers. Biolab Wars looks okay. It's another 8-bit game. Mr. Run and Jump looks dope. I'm definitely getting that one. This is in the recharge style, but this is basically Atari saying, "Me too" to Super Meat Boy. We can do that too. We can do Super Meat Boy. But they're they missed the bandwagon by like 10 years. They're always behind. They always do a great job when they get to it. And they have some good stuff going for them, but they're way the fuck out of date. It's too little too late all the time with these fucking knuckleheads. I definitely am interested in this, though. I don't know if I'm interested in it for the price they're asking. $25 is a bit steep. This is their only... One of like 2 or 3 games that have relatively modern graphics. And this is a capable machine. This machine, I've seen YouTube videos of people playing Master Chief Halo Master Chief Collection, and even Halo Infinite and Overwatch 2, at low settings or medium settings at either 1080p in Overwatch 2 case, or 720p for Halo Infinite, at almost 60 FPS. It's more like 58. It'd probably be smart to lock to 30. So they have real games, quote unquote. It really does. I know it's a different Atari now. It's not the same people, but it feels a lot like it felt back in the Jaguar days, where they had games that were like kind of modern, but they were visibly inferior to everything else in the genre. But they were still interesting because they were bad. They were interestingly bad, like beautiful, fascinating train wrecks. It can do better than this, though. This is not maxing out the machine graphically by any stretch of the imagination. It can. I mean, when I say Halo Master Chief, I mean like Halo. It runs Halo 3, and Halo 4 and ODST and Reach at 1080p, full settings. But that's the same as saying it's at least as good as an Xbox 360. Or like a Wii U, which is one generation. It feels like 2 generations old by now, practically 2 generations old. Ends Reach is an interesting little Metroidvania. It's got problems though. I couldn't recommend buying it currently until they fix the issues with the controls. Heroes of Loot, very standard game. I think this is even on Android. Feels like a mobile game, but it's great for 4 players. There's a bunch of little pixel art games like this, which is what Atari seemed to be going for. It's just a home for games like that. I guess it makes sense on paper. Gunslugs too. Another pixel art game. With little pixel mans. This humble, simple games. Heavens and Mars Recharged. Aka R looks interesting. This is a Jeff Minner game, which is why it's priced the way that it is. Whereas every other Recharged game is $10. This one's $20. Residual. I don't remember what this one is. You see what I mean, though? How would you know any of these existed if you tried to find them on Steam? This looks good. I would probably be interested in playing this. How much is it? It's a fun little indie machine. This is what Ouya was supposed to be, but it's already 2 years into its lifespan. It's more successful than the Ouya was, and Ouya still has a community of fans. Unbelievably, $13, bit much. Atari 50. Everybody who wants it already has it on Steam. Which for a $40 game, you wouldn't want to lock it to a proprietary platform unless that's all you have. Space Grunts. I think it's another pixel art game. It's another one of these. I think the same guy makes all these. The same company. Atari. This I have this. This is good. This is WarioWare with Atari properties. Yards Recharged. I bought that. I bought a resold key of that on Steam. It's okay. It really needs the joystick with the spinner to be any good though. Meganoid is, I think, a Metroid clone by the same developer who fucking all of his games look identical. I'm pretty sure. Orange Pixel. Let's make sure. Orange Pixel. Sure enough, Orange Pixel is cleaning up on this platform just by having quantity over quality. It's having a shitload of games that all... Orange Pixel. I was right. It's all the same guy. I wonder if that business model works. BPM Boy, this one looks actually really good. This is a 3D platformer. A rare 3D platformer for this game platform. It was also timed exclusive. There were a couple of these that were timed exclusives. I think of them only Ends Reach is still exclusive as of this video. But this was a timed VCS exclusive. It does a better job of showing what the machine can do. Like roughly what you would expect from Xbox 360 XBLA circa like 2010. Looks pretty good. Looks fun. Looks interesting. I'm probably going to get this. But it's a $20 game, so I really have to think about it because that's a lot of money to me lately. I justify it by thinking I can stream that. 0 viewers. That's got to be wrong, right? It can't be right. Come on. Everybody loves Atari, right? Everyone loves Atari? Everyone loves Atari. I'm going to cry.
Sorry, but please first put me on a desktop.
Tempest 4000, I have that. Combinera. Is I think an Asteroid style game. I'm actually not sure what the fuck this is. For $15, I'm not going to find out either. If this was more popular, you'd be able to find resold keys like you can for Xbone and PS5. Fatal Run. Oh, you can actually buy Fatal Run 7800 on here. I'm glad for that. It's I showed you guys why that's actually a pretty damn good game. Alien Brigade is like light gun shooter. Really interesting light gun shooter. They had some interesting experimental games. What if Ninja Golf is on here? Like would have recharged. Scrap Your Dog was, I think, the only platformer 7800 got. This is supposedly pretty good, but it's also on Steam. It's a game where you're a bird. If we're gonna have one console for the really obscure, low budget indie games, like the bottom of the barrel of the indie uh, industry, if it seemed like that was gonna be Ouya for a while, and now it seems like it won't be. That's really interesting. Since 2004, Orange Pixel, Dutch solo developer. Wow. All of its games are in a shared universe, just like my books. Is this Orange Pixel? It's not. I kind of expect everything to be Orange Pixel now, like how everything was Cake for a while. Jetboard Joust is supposedly really good. It's Bizarro Defender. Looks really good. Might get that one, depending on what it costs. $10 is not too bad. $10 is about the limit of what I really want to spend on. Danger Scavengers looks fucking baller. Look at this. It's a roguelike. There's a lot of roguelikes on this platform for some reason. I guess because you can kind of proc gen all the content and you don't have to put as much time into developing the game. Which you might not be able to justify the expense for a platform like this. Kind of like how early VR games were really short. It looks really good though. I'm definitely getting this one. It's only $10, so that's a no-brainer. Super Mash rather looks really good. It's also on Steam, I believe. You combine different cartridges together to make mashups, and then you actually play the resulting game, which is halfway between one and the other. Which is a winning combo. I really want that one. Something Ate My Alien also looks really pretty. I am definitely I'm not sure if I'm going to get this one. I'm interested in it. I'm interested. I'm looking. Respectfully. It has good looking 2D assets and it has an inventory system. I want to say we're looking at either I want to say it's a Metroidvania we're looking at. I don't think it says. $17 is a bit much. Puzzle adventure. Sir Love-A-Lot looks... Looks like a pretty standard... Actually, I like the pixel art. I'm not sure if it's my kind of game, though. I don't go for fantasy. Sigi, A Fart from Melusina. I think it's another one of these pixel-based platformers, like Shovel Knight. There's a lot of that kind of thing on here, if that's what you're into. There's a lot of the pixel art indie platformers, if that fucking floats your goat. Which, actually, goats are not very buoyant. Don't ask me how I found out. I'm not allowed to go back to the zoo. Looks like Sokoban, but with combat. And puzzles. Interesting concept. This one looks actually really good to me. This one looks suspiciously good to me. Gun Tech 2. It uses the rotating joystick to angle your ship. It's like Ultra Asteroids on steroids, but with like a story and like stages and actual polygons. Also kind of looks like Major Havoc inspired. So it's a top-down or slash isometric shooter, kind of like Armada for Dreamcast. You fly around a huge area doing missions. There's got a radar system. Gun Tech 1 didn't have that, I don't think. I don't even see it on the store anymore. Gun Tech 2 seems to just be a straight across upgrade to Gun Tech 1. It looks really good. I'm actually really interested in this. Not all these... We've seen like 12 promising games so far, though. You have to really count them. There's yet another mobile game looking indie platformer. There's a lot of these on here. If that's your jam, you found your new favorite console. Some of these are just terrible though. So not this one. This is looks like looks like another mobile game. This is probably what we would have gotten if the Intellivision Amico ever came out. You fucking remember the Amico? You know what the story is with that thing? It's wild. It's like the fucking Gizmondo 2.0, where they got high off of the Kickstarter money and never actually shipped anything. Here's another Recharge game. The Recharge series is really clever. It's a really good idea to use this visual style, this new retro wave, synthwave vector style for the remasters. It's very clean and minimalist. They add just enough complexity to make it feel like there's more going on and it's modernized. It's got an item shop, so you can iteratively improve your guns and your defenses and whatnot. It's funny how little it takes to turn a repetitive game into something with actual progression to it. Like Galaxy 5000, just being able to save your points, save your pennies little by little to get that new ship, and then getting the dopamine released in your brain when you buy the new ship. That's all there is currently. That's 100% of the fucking, if you don't count the virtual console style releases. There's some really good stuff coming though. The Spirit of the Samurai, the Spirit and the Samurai, I think. I forget which one it is. It looks really beautiful. It's coming to the VCS and Steam. A lot of these are just ROMs. Yeah. Sydney Hunter, which is another Rick Dangerous type game. I don't know if I would categorize them as successful, but they're not failing either. They're kind of treading water. And what little success they're having just by virtue of all their competitors imploding. Coleco Chameleon fucking imploded. That was the Kickstarter scam. Intellivision Amico fucking imploded. That was a Kickstarter scam by Tommy fucking motherfucker Tallarico. And a new company bought the intellectual property for the Intellivision brand and has announced they're releasing 2 new pieces of hardware, which is not encouraging information when they can't fucking ship one. Anyway, Tempest 2000 with the spinner. This is killing my wrist. I don't know if you can hear the classic music in the background. If this just rotated correctly, clockwise goes counterclockwise and vice versa, and the opposite too. You'll see. See? It's the wrong direction. You have to retrain your muscle memory every time. Which is a shame. This would have been the de facto definitive version of the game if it wasn't for that one mistake. And Jeff won't fix it. If you're like, who's Jeff? Jeff Minner. You can just email him. He usually answers his emails. But people have asked him to fix this, and he said, I won't do it. Atari already paid me. I'm done with it. He also had a falling out with Atari because of how they treated TXK. This is probably the flagship game for this console right now. It felt wrong not playing it on an Atari. Die. This uses the Atari button as a third button, oddly enough. It feels good. It feels good to use a spinner to play this game. It feels wrong to play it without one. But I just wish it was the right fucking way around. But it has this beauty mode now, which is a holdover from Space Giraffe. Let me tell you, getting this set up to stream properly was a bitch. That was not fun. It turns out that if you have a 16-foot long USB 3 cable, it needs to be boosted if you're going to send video over it. It is. I'm hoping somebody comes up with a way to sideload a patch to fix the rotation direction. Because this is by far the best version of Tempest. I had Tempest 3000 also. I bought a new one to play that. That's how big a sucker I am. I buy whatever platform Jeff Minter's games come out on. And I do feel a little bit done wrong, given that fact that he's not willing to fix it. Then again, he's like fucking 70 now, so... I don't think he missed it. I think it was an intentional... fuck you to Atari. I think that's my conspiracy theory. So I think it was on purpose, which is not a nice thing to do as fans, though. Especially since there's no support for a spinner on the PC version. You can't even use the mouse, which would otherwise be a pretty good alternative. Because I could just hook up the trackball. This does feel right, though, playing it on Atari hardware with a joystick. If they patterned it after Jaguar, I might have nutted too hard, so it's probably good they didn't do that. Although it'd be funny if they ever, for some reason, make a fucking sequel to this console, which is never happening. A VCS 2, if they made it Jaguar shaped, if they bought back the rights to those molds. Can you imagine that? How funny would that be? AI Droid also rescues you in this one. This is one of the few ones where the joystick makes you better at the game. What's good, Cameo? Nice to see you again. We're streaming the Atari VCS, a console nobody has. And if you're saying what Atari is still around and what Atari has new hardware out since 2021, you're not alone. Nobody else knew it existed either. Super Zapper recharge. Recharge my balls. It takes longer and longer the older you get. It's really worrying me. My ball recharge used to be like 15 seconds. It's a man's most important stat. You basically can't be killed once you have the AI droid, unless you get shot. If they grab you, that he... Oh, no, I got shot. What I just say. You don't lose him, though, you notice. I lost 2 lives just talking. Serves me right. What's been going on at work? Shit. Yeah, no, it gets tough. Anyway, here's the front end. It's doing its best to catch up to where Xbox 360 was in like 2007 or 8 when that or whatever when that came out. Yeah, nobody did. Nobody knew that they released hardware. It's an HD capable console with 3D graphics. So I mean, how whether you want to call this a modern console or not depends upon your whimsy. But it's got this joystick, as you can see in the lower right. The joystick has wireless control, although I have it plugged in so it doesn't run out while I'm streaming. It has 2 buttons. It has a spinner. The joystick itself twists. It has LEDs on it. I feel like Millhouse trying to fucking promote Pogs. Hey everyone, remember Alf? He's back in Pog form. That's me, but with anything Atari. It's the hardest thing to get anyone to give a shit about. All right, I'm gonna come back to Atari Mania. I want to play some Ends Reach, as that's probably what people will be curious about because it's one of the few somewhat modern-looking games. So what? What do you mean they're not hiring an? They're not hiring an assistant. They're just putting all the workload onto you. Then how's that going to work? Does that come with a pay increase? So this is one of the few games that even bothers trying to somewhat push the graphics, the hardware of the console. Although not by very much. It also has severe input lag issues unless you play with the controller plugged in. This seems to fix it though. It's weird. Plugging it in seems to fix that, which is suggests that it may be more due to the hardware, but it's an issue with some games and not others as much. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have laughed at that. You're doing 2 jobs. Is the pay increasing? This is what Atari considers a modern 3D game in 2023, or I guess 2021. This would be a situation where you would want to stand up for yourself and point out the fact they're increasing your workload without increasing your pay. Anyone who watches this stream regularly, which is like 5 people, would know that I streamed this before, but I had a webcam pointed at the fucking projector. Like a savage, like a barbarian. So this looks reasonably good for like something you'd find on itch.io, right? This looks like if this was on itch.io, it would be impressive for a free indie alpha. Problem is, it was like a $10 game on a console. Oh, this opens. Since when was that open? This is a new area. With like Quake 2 tier level geometry and Mario pipes. That's good. Stand up for yourself, girl. I would say don't be like aggressive or hostile, but be insistent that you're not going to perform any extra uncompensated labor. Maybe be willing to negotiate about the amount, but it should. Given that used to be a whole other job that a person received their own independent salary for, it should be a pretty substantial increase. This is cozy. It feels it's gonna sound bad, but it feels unfinished in a good way. It really feels like a fuck, how to say this? It's tickling my hipster boner. Like I'm enjoying this game that almost nobody else knows about. I'm seeing the developer's best efforts to make something interesting and cool. And I'm appreciating something different. Checkpoint activated. This really takes me back. This feels like it felt when I played Jaguar in 96, which is when I got mine, I think. 95? 96? I want to say it was before 96. I want to say that I didn't have a 64 yet. So 94, 95, 96. I want to say 95 probably. It was towards the end because I bought mine from a bargain bin. And it was interesting because it was like almost like vaguely on par with other consoles, but not really. It's like, what the fuck is this thing I've discovered? And the games were all also like clearly effort went into them. But everything was just a little bit fucked up. If you're like, oh, that's just interesting and it's just interestingly bad. Yes and no. Some of them were genuinely good, and it's fun to appreciate hidden gems where they shouldn't exist. Yeah, it has a lot of heart. That's what I'm looking. That's the word I'm looking for. It's fucking trying its best. Although that might be actually giving it too much credit. The combat is terrible. By far the worst part of the game. Everything else is competent. It is not great, but adequate. The combat really needs to be retooled with like a lock-on or some shit. Maybe it'll get better when I have better weapons. The dev said it's meant to resemble a mid-2000s like GameCube game. Or PS2 game. Needs better music also, frankly. Now that the moveset's expanded, movement it's not as bad as it was. You can run. Oh, it's just a faster walk animation. Like, look at the enemy models. Those are all bespoke models. Those are not bad. I mean, those are skillfully made. The character model looks good. Let's get it close. All sides, like... Models are well done. It's well modeled. Its animation is sufficient. You just have to manage your expectations and know what you're playing something because you're a fucking hipster. I can't... I'm locked in a loop. I can't actually... There we go. Oh, it's a puzzle. The Lazaran language is simple and concise to manage blah 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 blah. Computer operations. Oh, it's a puzzle. That's clever. Some of the games were just cash grabs. on Jaguar, which sounds like a. In the same way, there's a lot of shovelware on PS1 and Saturn. Uh, but the odd one, like Iron Soldier 1 and 2, were good examples of games that had a lot of love put into them. And they're still well remembered as a result. Super Burnout had a lot of love put into it. It was uncommonly good for what it was. It's a oddball console for oddball games, being played by an oddball. Maybe that's why I like it so much. I'm giving it a chance because people give me a chance, and they maybe they feel the same way about me. I identify with it. See the combat? You get stuck in the same direction. It's not good. I want to give it the best chance I can give it, but combat's important to get right. Lazar, Bob Lazar, or a laser disc. I get you. Oh, laser disc. Oh, that's the. I was trying to fucking do galaxy brain math in my head. HH. This is action and flow. Action and flow. So if I want to change the water direction. Okay, so these are apparently the primary objective. There are plant seeds in these vials, and in order to extend a bridge, I'm going to guess, over to the other side, I need to complete a puzzle that will water those plants. Oh, wow. Wow, that was abrupt. I forgot water immediately kills you. Oh, thank you, sweetie pie. I don't know what I do to inspire any sort of devotion in people, but I'm glad that I have those attributes. Oh, speaking of which, I released a new video. I don't know if you saw it. It's about my history of gaming and my feelings about intentionality in selecting the art that you consume, being conscious of how it can influence your mood, and also ludonarrative dissonance and the individual responsibility in creating your own personality. I think just stuff like that. I'm pretty proud of it. I think it turned out well. I've got a couple other. Basically, I'm adapting articles that I wrote for Medium that got nuked when Medium banned me, and I'm adapting them to video format using AI to do slideshows. Feels like a. Doesn't even feel like a GameCube game. This looks and feels like a remastered Nintendo 64 title. Flow. There we go. What did I do? What'd I do? Whatever it was, it was brilliant. I did it on purpose. Oh, thank you. I don't know how to be anybody else but me. When you're autistic, you become one of two archetypes. You either become the dark autist, like Chris Chan, or you become the light autist, like Nick Smith, a.k.a. Lilia, or I guess me. And what determines which one you become is whether you learn the important lesson early in your life that everybody else can read your mind, because they have way the fuck higher emotional intelligence than you. So you'd better not bother ever telling any lies, because everybody will immediately see through you, and it will be extremely cringe, and they won't trust you again. I learned at a very young age not to. It's a rigged game. It's rigged against me. I can't play that game, so I don't try, and it has turned out to have some undocumented benefits, actually. Oh, thank you. So, basically, after my first experience getting caught out lying and cringing so hard that I fucking imploded into a four-dimensional origami black hole, crumpling into myself and folding and whatnot, I was like, okay, I need to figure out some other way to live because this is not a workable strat. So I just try to be understood. For step one, actually have good intentions, because if you're gonna be honest, then you need to actually be well intentioned. Otherwise, people will see through it. And step two is communicate as well as you can to avoid misunderstandings and miscommunications. Which you would think, you fucking would think that would solve every problem, right? You'd think all human conflict is just a misunderstanding, but that's not true. Sometimes learning to communicate better actually increases the incidence of misunderstandings. Besides the fact that not all conflicts are due to that in the first place. That was a misunderstanding on my part. I'm still learning shit. It's not just that he lies, it's that he's an obvious liar. Chris is not self-aware enough to realize other people can see through it. He doesn't learn his lesson, which is not to lie, because he was born at a disadvantage to everybody around him in that area. You gotta play to your strengths. I won't say I'm a good person, because I still am nasty when I get frustrated, but I will say that being autistic forced me to be an honest person. And honesty is a component of being a good person. This is actually really interesting and fun, just exploring on this fucking laptop console. You know, anyone watching this, if you're not feeling the Atari offerings, which I wouldn't blame you one bit, this can also be turned into a Steam box very easily. You can just straight up install SteamOS on it. Atari includes everything you need. They'll even sell you a thumb drive with Debian on it. That will boot the VCS into Debian whenever you insert it. It's designed to dual boot out of the box. And Atari OS is designed to accommodate that. So if you want to have it be half Atari OS and half Steam OS, you can do that. And just play Steam games on it. There's a lot of the games in the Steam library, like I said, up to about Xbox 360 level graphics. Anything on Steam will run fine on here. This is actually getting good. Holy shit. I did not anticipate that. It's slow. It's a slow start. It's also a very sloppy start. I don't want to criticize these guys because it's clear they care about what they're making and it's an interesting game. But the start of this game is really rough. That's clearly what they put the least work into. And they besides needing to fix combat, they need to liven up the first hour or so of the game, during which almost nothing happens. You have your moveset is almost zero. So you can't double jump, you can't dash. You just move around at a snail's pace, fighting the same couple enemies. Metroid usually gets around this by having the environment be the interesting thing, and having stuff happen like the countdown on the space station. Fuck, almost. Would you fuck off, you fucking thing? Well, I'm trying to cut them a break and just be less salty. Because evolution validates neurotypicals. I can understand I don't have all the answers, and I don't always understand everything. So when I clash with neurotypicals, I just remind myself evolution made a lot more of them than they made of people like me. So it must know what it's doing. And when I see them working together and socially networking, I'm like, oh yeah, all right. I see it now. If we were cavemen, they would stick together like glue. They naturally are attractant and naturally adhere into communities. almost effortlessly. Whereas autists can cooperate. We'd just as soon go off and form our own societies, even if they're just one person. And I think a lot of the misunderstandings are just because of miscalibrated theory of mind. So from their perspective, we probably really do seem sus as hell, because their theory of mind has never failed them before in their life. If they have very high emotional intelligence, they probably are really confident in that tool because it has always worked. And it's hard for them to believe that this is the first person that it hasn't worked on, that they've ever met, Their theory of mind gives them erroneous results for autistic people, but because it has never failed them, they have unflappable confidence in the accuracy of their readings, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it's easier for them to believe that you're lying than it is for them to believe that their theory of mind has failed them. Fucking finally, Health Plus, badly needed. Not that combat has been particularly hard. So ultimately it is a misunderstanding. It's them getting weird readings off of somebody whose brain authentically works differently. So their theory of mind gives them, in situations, how to put this? It's like the difference between owning a cat and a dog or a bunny. They all have completely different body language. Like, bunnies are not happy when they're thumping the ground. That's not what that means. And cats are not happy when they're swishing their tails, even though dogs are. So if you are a dog, and your whole life you've socialized to interpret tail wagging as being happiness, then you're going to be real confused when you meet your first cat. And that's not by anyone's fault. It's not by the fault of... What the fuck is that damage animation? So I'm just learning to accept it and embrace it. It is what it is. It's not that anybody's just inherently bad, even though they are scary to us, and it's easy to just withdraw from that and be anxious about it. It's just an incompatibility. It's just incompatible software. Utterly, utterly incompatible. You would think we can't be that different. We're both humans, and it's only a small difference to the brain. But humans are only 2% genetically different from chimps. And animal brains are significantly different in their capacities. Like, chimps can remember 17 digits, and humans can remember about half that. So there's different types of intelligence and small differences in brains. Something that complex with that many different failure states and different expressions of what's going on inside of it. A small difference adds up to a big difference, counterintuitively. That's my rationale right now. The immature thing to do is just say allistics are scary, bad people. When clearly they're not. If you watch them interact with each other, they mostly find each other pleasant and agreeable. And they mostly automatically understand each other. They say autism is a superpower. Har har. What's a superpower is emotional intelligence. Watching people do that looks a lot like telepathy from the outside. Supposedly there's a medication that fixes autism. Not off the shelf. It's a prescription anti-epilepsy drug. I'm interested in trying it. I think I've already had the experience of being autistic. I don't think I'm losing out on anything if I try the experience of being allistic. Would I be a different person? Maybe, but I'm kind of ready to be. You miss out on a lot not being able to engage with people in a way that they've been comfortable with their entire lives, and not having unspoken communication faculties. You make an ass of yourself a lot, and it feels bad, even when your friends just let it slide because they know you. I don't want to need that level of permissiveness and understanding. I'd rather just fix what's wrong. I don't think it's a good idea to build culture around dysfunction. I think it's a good idea to solve the dysfunction. That's not to say I don't think it's a good thing there's autistic people. I think my pet theory is that we evolved in response to industrialization, and that we're an example of rapid evolution, driven by suicide of people who work in industrial capacities. And the purpose of our mutation is to be able to work in office jobs and not kill ourselves. I didn't even want to take a break when I worked at a call center. I was happy to, even though it was nerve wracking dealing with people, the fact they were on the other side of a phone and I could also chat with them on text form made it considerably not as bad as it could have been. In other words, I can brute force this if there's only two of them. I don't have to understand this. It smacks of truth, though, doesn't it? I wonder how you would test it. Because industrialization produced a world that we are not adapted to, a very rapid change, and a lot of people just can't take living in that. I mean, people make videos about that all the time. I can just point to Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski was someone who arguably lost his mind because of trying to conform to industrial society when his subconscious was still best adapted for endurance hunting in the African savannah. If you can change one small thing about the human brain and make it completely content with repetitive tasks indoors all day, then it seems plausible that would be selected for in developing or developed countries. I don't have any proof. This should be considered completely speculative. I'm not making any claims. I found it. Excuse me. What is the I don't know what that symbol even means. We got it though, it counts. We make pretty good employees if you understand us and find it the right place, because we're kind of specialized parts. We're not general purpose. We're like the purpose-bred humans from Brave New World, which is kind of a self-own, but it's I'm not an egotist who would deny something because it makes me unhappy. If I was really paranoid, I would say that autism was intentionally cultivated by the people who own the businesses in order to produce, and it backfired because they didn't understand what they were doing. Well, the theory I've read is, I should say hypothesis. Theory is very generous. A blueprint is that autistic people are emotionally insulated, and that helped with dealing with trauma. Is that in a brutal Paleolithic world where you were very likely to lose people you loved frequently, being able to feel so that you can interact socially and be part of a social unit, but also being able to disconnect your feelings from your actions and your expression of those feelings would have been a valuable ability at one time. Like if you lose your kid to a like a bear or some shit, I think a normal reaction would just be to lose your mind and to kill yourself. I can adapt to a lot of different situations I probably shouldn't be able to. Like lockdown was fine for me. I just regressed to animal. I became nonverbal and stopped wearing clothes much of the time. Maybe the whole thing about us being better suited to an industrial society was just a fluke. It's just a happy accident, and that's also why it's increasing in modern society. But not originally why the mutation developed. It's also why we get confused for psychopaths or sociopaths. Sociopaths present outwardly. Actually, that's not true. They don't present that way. They present as very charismatic and they have high emotional intelligence. But the fact they don't feel anything makes people confuse the two. They think that we are inwardly like sociopaths, even though outwardly we present the way that sociopaths actually are inwardly. But it's kind of reversed. We don't really emote or outwardly, but we definitely feel stuff. I would like to think we have warm hearts, whereas sociopaths are the opposite. They emote outwardly, but they don't feel anything inwardly. They're hollow. I think this is why the sociopath fears the autist, because the autist is immune to his manipulation. But they could also make a killer team, because they are both strong where the other is weak. I was really comfortable during lockdown. I want to make a statement for the record, though. I have a time-stamped article from prior to that I was against mandates. I got all the vaccines they would give me because I'm, I guess, too trusting of educated professionals. But that was a really poor choice, unless the purpose of it was not to get people vaccinated so much as it was to see what people will put up with and what they'll give into. Because if the goal was actually to get people to be less scared of vaccines, that's the opposite of how you do it. I don't believe anyone didn't know that. Anyone involved with that decision. That's exactly how you terrify people into never trusting you again. That's going to be a problem because we're going to have another pandemic one of these days. And nobody's going to go along with it because they have their jobs taken away and then given back. By the way, everybody who got fired, at least in Australia, the Australian government, I think was what the article said, got hired back. Anyways, I wouldn't say that, Josh. I mean, Caleb, you seem like you have a warm heart to me. I think you probably feel like that lately. You probably are still numb and delayed processing of certain events in your life. I have a sociopath buddy. I'm not going to say who his name is because he told me not to tell people that he's diagnosed because it would create problems for his line of work. I believe if his employer was aware of this. But he's protective of me and he seems to like me. And the way he put it is that sociopaths are perfectly capable of making moral decisions as long as it doesn't require them to be the one that gets fucked. As long as they're not the one that has to take the L. It doesn't even have to be necessarily beneficial for them. They just have to not be the one that gets thrown under the bus. Otherwise, they absolutely will betray you. Because it's a rational decision to do so. Which makes me kind of uneasy, because I wouldn't do that. I would probably take the L. It's like the difference between Tin Man before he got the heart and after he got the heart. He's still a Tin Man, But Tin Man afterwards has a heart. I bet I drain water. I bet that's what you do here. Wait, do I grab the seeds and bring them here? I bet you I fucking do. Who would have thought this would have become the star game of tonight? I didn't think I'd make any fucking progress in this lovable heap. Grab? Oh, no, that's not what I do there. There are seeds. Question is, do I pick them up or are there other seeds I'm missing that I walked past? I don't see any. You know, maybe that's what they should do. Atari should just troll Ichio and see who looks promising and offer them money. I'd be surprised if that's not what they've been doing. I mean, it kind of looks like that's what it is. Still trying to be diplomatic. And it's not bad, but it's also not the best you should be able to say of a grenade. Grenade. How do I pick this up? How do I pick this up? Or do I have to water it? I tried all the other combos. It can't be. That's a very Buddhist solution, Tom 11. I should know I have a Buddhist friend who won't shut up about Buddhism. And she's always telling me that in situations where there's a conflict, that she recites a parable about a man walking down the street and seeing a mad dog, and about how no good comes from fighting it, and that it's just easier and safer for both the man and the dog if he chooses a different street. Which sounds to me like cowardice, but that could just be Western thinking, where we're socialized to believe in individualism and heroism as a personal responsibility type of thing, as an ideal. Not that we ever live up to it. Transporting. Transport seeds. Great machines bend the temple to your will. Learn the language or runes. I still need a fire ability, because there's torches at the top of the mountain in the main tropical area. I can't light them currently. Yeah, I'm still easily provoked. I should know better. I keep telling myself, like, who is this person to me? Are they someone I admire? If not, then why do I care what they think of me? But then I get to thinking, what if I was stuck on a desert island with them? I should be able to get along with even a disagreeable person. Otherwise, I could be the problem too. I'm stubborn sometimes. I can only be sure I'm not the problem if I'm the one trying to get along and they're not doing it. I'm a dickhead sometimes, though. We gotta be honest about that. Suit upgrade and battery expansion. I made a list recently of every time I've been in the wrong in the past, like, 20 years of my life. It was eye-opening. A lot of those memories I repressed, and I only remembered them when I actively started trying to remember times that I was the person in the wrong. I thought that's not something that I do. I'm like I know better than that. I don't know better than that. My brain did it by itself, suppressing memories of when I was the bastard. Is it that you don't care, or is it that you see all sides of an issue, so you are equally passionate about all of the potential interpretations and prognoses? Because I feel like for me it's the second one. I blame acid for that. Acid made it really hard for me to take a firm position on anything. Because I can persuade myself of a bunch of different things. That's gotta be water. That is indeed water. I should be writing these down. It really seems to want me to write these down and learn the language. Water City. I've been trying to learn signs of when I'm the one who's wrong and I don't realize it yet. Like my own frustration is a weak red flag. Another red flag is that they seem wrong to me, but I can't explain why. I just feel like they're being tricky somehow. I can try. I can try to see at least more than one side. I can. It doesn't necessarily mean I agree with it. You need at least 4 of these to stop me from doing this. I'm almost out if it makes you feel better, Nacer. I'm going to have to spend some of my crypto. And I'm probably going to convert the rest into Monero because I've lost a bunch, and that will translate to tax savings. We've done everything here. As long as they don't see it going up in value after it's in Monero. I'm stuck here. That's a nursery. Interesting. I never would have guessed. I like smashing boxes. That's a positive. HIV positive. Because this game is AIDS. Oh shit, there's something back there. There's crystals back there. How do I open this? That's probably a power-up in there. Get cozy with your snack. Also get an animal friend, if you have one. Pet him if you got him. Acid fucked me up in good ways and bad ways. I feel more even-minded, but I have a hard time making decisions because I can imagine myself as different me's in different futures, depending on which choice I make. And I'm like, either of these is fine. I feel. What makes a man turn neutral, Kif? Is it his cold Gray heart. Before I had very strong opinions about things. I had a very well-formed, distinct personality, which I feel is softened and sort of gotten blurry since that time. I'm less temperamental. I think it's harder to be temperamental when you're less oppositional. I still do get mad though. I'm always embarrassed when I get mad, which is unfortunate because people can sense when they made you mad and when you're embarrassed and they take advantage of it, and it drives me nuts. Oftentimes I'll act the fool and then realize it later and then try to undo it and apologize, but then they'll take advantage of the fact that I apologized. Oh hey, this happened. It makes me feel like I'm the fool for apologizing, for feeling bad in the first place. Because I showed them weakness, and instead of meeting me halfway and being appreciative that I regretted being hot-headed with them, they were just like, aha, I see an opportunity to attack this person. But it's my fault for fucking going off on them in the first place, so I can't be too busted up. I just gotta learn not to get mad at all. The fuck is this? How do I break this? There's 2 doors of the same type. Yeah, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to take the blueprint back to the ship and make the hammer. Fuck, that's gonna be a long trip. Yeah, we're locked out of a bunch of interactions, and people mistrust us because we don't know how to act unsuspicious. There's a way to act unsuspicious. You could tell the truth and still sound like you're lying just because you don't know how to say it right. It turns out. We're sus as fuck. We set off all kinds of alarm bells. Tom, you could help us. All you gotta do is program an app for smart glasses that interprets facial expressions using LLM technology. And gives the most probable interpretation of the emotional state of whoever you're looking at. It's like a mood ring for the 2020s. Google Glass could have probably done that. In fact, you could become a millionaire selling that, and because if it could get covered under health insurance, then you get that sweet, sweet government money, and you'll sell a lot more than you would if people had to buy it themselves. Smart glasses, LLM-based AI, utilized for the purpose of interpreting facial expressions and tonal changes of voice, with like a HUD. It'd also help if it remembered names. What are these? Are these bugs? They're ants, okay. I'm sure there's some lore behind these enemies. I don't know why I hate them. But apparently I do. Up through here. I gotta return all the way to the spaceship to use the blueprint. At least they would know they're being made fun of, though, Tom 11, because they have the glasses, you see? Thinking. Thinking. Part of me wishes those wouldn't respawn, but then the game world would be really empty. Fuck. Alright, how do I go through here? Shit, how much more crippled do you need to be? Do you need to be headless or some shit, but still somehow alive? Just like gurgling blood. If you can choose your least favorite hand, I can come over with a hammer, and we might be able to do something about that. You can bite down on my anime titty mouse pad when I do it. Then they'll acknowledge you as a worthy cripple for sure. They're just bones. You have like 200 of them. It could, but you gotta... I feel you, Tom, but also you gotta go to war with the army you have, not the one you want. There's a lot of human problems that seem illusory just because they are human problems, so people could solve them by changing their minds. But that is itself a misunderstanding of humanity and how profoundly stubborn we are. That's as real a obstacle as anything solid. So you really have to design your solution around stubborn people, not assume they're going to change. That was also the mistake of many political systems of the 20th century, believing that human nature was mutable. You have to prove you're crippled every 3 years. Is there like an obstacle course? Lobstacle course. That's where they have you crawl over lobsters. Welcome to the lobstacle course. There's a machine somewhere in here. Where I put the blueprints. And then they get manufactured into new items. Yep, engineering. Here we go. Interesting level design. There's geometric detail, but at what cost? No fucking textures. Looks like a Halo 1 map. Can't break that. Can't break these either. I will be able to as soon as I fucking figure out where I take this blueprint to. Y'all bitches, it's over for you. That sounds like a sitcom. Imagine being the guy who has to, yeah. I have to do that with TISM. Or I had to when working with Voc Rehab. They needed proof. I was like, you want to hear me talk about submarines for an hour? Or like underwater habitats? Because I can go all day if I need to. Or if you allow me to. I can't activate the map. It's already activated. Shit. I got the blueprint. I just forget what you're supposed to do with it. I'm sure that's the next step, though. Yeah, he manages a lot considering, and also considering I think it wasn't it the government's fault in the first place because you got a tainted batch of vaccines or some shit. You think that they would be like, oh, that's on us. We won't make you jump through hoops. But that's not the case. I guess perhaps unsurprisingly. He's like how do I visualize this? Imagine Ricky Berwick as a Pokemon. What his Pokemon evolution would be. Just like a bigger, more capable Ricky. That's kind of the situation that's going on. I'm sure I'm misunderstanding something. There's like a machine somewhere. Nothing here. Nothing here. I like the enemy design. It reminds me of the Metroid Prime Space Pirates. So the government fucking fucks you up in the first place, and then has the audacity to pretend they don't know how bad it is. That sounds about right. I mean, this is the same government where they're like, "Hey, you owe us money," and I'm like, "How much?" And I'm like, "You have to guess." Like, why don't you just tell me? Nope, you have to guess, and we're gonna fuck you really badly if you guess wrong. Don't you come at us with those lowball estimates. Guess. Guess how much it is. There was like a push cart or something somewhere in here. Oh, here it is. This is where it was. This will turn out to be really simple, but I'm just fucking square brained tonight. I've done what you asked of me. I have the blueprint. Where do I put it? And then you give them the money, and before you give them the money, you're voting for who's going to be in control of the state, and they're promising you, like, you're not going to use this for another war, are you? No, I promise, no more wars. You're going to use this responsibly, right? You're not going to lose track of it, are you? Like, nope, this is your hard-earned tax money. I take it very seriously. No more war crimes. No more misplacing $1 trillion. No more neglecting to fix municipal water supplies in Flint, Michigan for 5 years. We're going to give you every cent of your tax money's worth in service. And then you give them the money and like, actually, I changed my mind just now. How about that? Imagine. I'm actually going to start a war. I'm actually going to do all the things I said I wasn't going to do, and I already have your money, so it doesn't matter if you don't want it. How many do I need? Medicals, helmet scan system, thrust, jet boots, dash booster. I have blueprints. Do I need more blueprints? That's everything. I really want the other weapon. How do I do this? I guess if I had enough blueprints, it would just automatically work, wouldn't it? It's weird the model shifts when I hit it. But it doesn't break. Yeah, they just do whatever. Democracy is an illusion. It's real only to the extent that it needs to appear real so that we don't riot. It seems like whoever's in charge, it's not me, or you or me. A lot of stuff happens that nobody voted for. Like, not that I disagree with immigration, but immigration has increased and widened who's allowed to come here for many years now, and nobody in the public voted for it. Like the Immigration Act of 65. That was not put to a popular vote. Gay marriage wasn't put to... I agree with gay marriage, but it wasn't put to a popular vote either. We have a quote-unquote representative democracy, which means basically nothing important is actually decided by democratic means. What's bugged? What's... Oh, you mean like listening device? I like how chill everybody is here. I like it when my friends are friends. I like to force my friends to be friends. I don't like my friends not being friends with each other. Here's the junkyard area. I don't think I need to go here. I think I've done everything there is to do. It's fun to look around though. It's Kino. It looks like an OG Xbox game because of the brown and bloom. Just poke around and go back. Bitch titties. Oh, is it? No. Okay. It's kind of throwing me for a loop how advanced and not advanced this is. Like, it looks like an N64 game, but it has some textures are really well normal mapped. It has dynamic shadows and shit. It's got like Doom 3 shadows. This texture looks terrible though. They're not all created equal. It is definitely visible that it's running on laptop hardware. It's a democratic republic with a representative democracy. Yeah, I know. Also, a lot of people reverse themselves on the vaccine. Again, I'm quadruple vaccinated. I'm not scared of needles. I also don't believe that I live in a comic book where the government would exterminate most of its own people with medicine. But a lot of people, when it was the Trump vaccine, a lot of left-wing commentators said, "I'll never take a Trump vaccine. I don't trust it." But immediately, when it was no longer a Trump vaccine, it was associated with Biden. They're like, "You are a coward, and you are unpatriotic, and you're a danger if you don't take it." And that's just association. They didn't want any Trump particles, essence of Trump on their vaccines. And likewise, as soon as it was the Biden vaccine, no fucking MAGA voters wanted it. And they got really silly about like Mark of the Beast, religious end times stuff too. Which I wonder how many times that would work on the same people. It is exactly, it's my choice. And it would have been more people's choice too if you didn't try to force them to do it and didn't threaten to take their job. That's not the way to get people to trust you. That's the way to make them never trust you again if they ever did to begin with. That was a bad move. That's going to continue to have consequences for years to come. Dicks. We've only just begun to pay for that. The consequences of lost trust in government. Then again, I guess the only people who trusted it aren't going to mistrust it just because people on the other end of the political spectrum don't like it. If anything, they might like it more. The J&J one is the one that had clots. Rarely. They exaggerated the incidence of clots, but it's the one that had them. Like, at all. The mRNA ones didn't have that problem. I trust the mRNA because I've done some reading about it. It was actually under development for like 20 years. So it was still a gamble. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it wasn't a gamble, but I pick and choose who I trust and on what. I generally trust people smarter than me because they might be lying to me, but if they were, I wouldn't know it either way. It would sound the same to me. If that makes any sense. So I feel as if I don't really have any choice but to trust educated professionals, and that we had a higher trust society, and we are better off in a more communitarian country, community-minded country, when people did trust experts. Which I know is kind of a joke now because of who's considered an expert on what. Yeah, no, you have reason not to trust them. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not a gamble when it is. You're living proof that it's always a gamble. And vaccines are kind of cheats. We're cheating death. So, big surprise, there's sometimes a catch. We have to remind ourselves the alternative is serious sickness or death most of the time. That's fair enough. That's a calculated risk. Everybody should have been allowed to make that. Now I'm concerned about what's going to happen the next time there's a pandemic, now that this precedent has been set. You know what I mean? Because we all needed to be on the same page and work together, and now that's completely off the table forever. We've only gotten more divided and less trustful, more mistrustful. Well, the specific part of it that was tested was never the payload. It was the delivery mechanism. The reason it was ready so soon is because they just had to load the viral payload into the mRNA delivery mechanism. And you're right, it didn't have as much testing as it should have had, but the delivery mechanism had been tested. It just hadn't been tested with that specific combo yet. There's no reason to think it wouldn't work, and it mostly did. People got really emotional and political over that, though. I guess that's to be expected when you're asking people to trust someone they hate. That's not going to produce a positive reaction from almost anybody. I need to get the hammer. If I get the hammer, I can break those boards. Yeah, it's unnatural. We do all sorts of unnatural shit. We're the least natural animal. If there was fucking plasmids, we would take them. We're talking about cybernetically augmenting ourselves. We take every advantage over nature we can possibly get, and we're winning so hard that it's killing nature. Nature's literally dying because of how badly we mog it. We're like OP wizards with cheat codes turned on. The funny thing is, if they actually did want to put some kind of poison into the vaccine for population control, the perfect time to do it would be the second pandemic, because during the first pandemic, all the people made the noise about how scared they were that there was going to be a kill shot, and then they were proven wrong, So now everybody's gonna treat them like the boy who cried wolf, and say oh, there wasn't any kill shot last time, so there won't be this time either. Not that that's a realistic thing that could happen, but because of the precedent that it sets, the people who don't trust, we're never going to trust anyway, and the people who did trust are now not going to listen if there is something dubious about it. You said you weren't, though, Caleb. We had this conversation a long time ago. You said you'd rather have an exoskeleton, which I didn't understand. Like in your shoes, we're actually getting to the point where where robot legs that don't suck dick could feasibly exist, because we have really good bipedal robots now. We have really good myoelectric cybernetic brain machine interfaces now. We're about to have Neuralink, so that's a decision you might have to make, especially if healthcare covers it. That's also one of the only cybernetic augmentations I would want, is because I don't want arms or hands, because I use those every day to touch things and I want them to be sensitive and dexterous. I don't go around touching stuff with my feet. I don't know about you. I would probably miss the sensation of sand between my toes at the beach, but that's like the only thing. For the most part, all the complexity in your feet and your leg joints just become a bigger and bigger problem as you grow older. So it would actually be a big relief to not have to walk places. Then again, I'd probably get disgustingly fat, wouldn't I? For lack of exercise. It'd be like having power tool legs that would just carry you. You'd just kind of chill, and your legs would just take you where you want to go. Yeah, no, that does make me scared, because there's some things that would be really promising and cool with Neuralink, but it only possible with the chip in your brain, and having a chip in your brain is a big deal. There's innumerable Black Mirror sci-fi hells that are opened up by having something internet connected that touches your gray matter. You sure you don't want a super-powered, rocket-propelled, telescopic, cybernetic super penis? I like having my natural body too, but I think there's some improvements that could be made. Like I said, I don't want cybernetic hands or arms, and I don't want a chip in my brain unless I absolutely have to have it for the legs. But I do want robot legs. Legs and knees and ankles and toes suck. We're recently enough evolved to walk on our hind legs that we still have S-shaped spines, for example. We have a lot of weird-shaped bones in our legs that contribute to complications when we get old. Hang on. I got a cat who wants in. You finally decided to come crawling back, did you? Meow. I filled my room with sawdust and smoke for you, installing you a cat flap, and I have not seen you use it. BRB. Gotta attend to the Kitor. I'm back. Have you ever noticed that except for the addition of dungeons, Zelda is just isometric Metroid? It's exactly the same, almost exactly the same gameplay formula. I do exercise, Strider I'm still going to get old, and my joints and my legs and my feet are going to be the ones that go first. That's just a fact of life. I don't like it. You don't like it. But the topic of conversation was cybernetic augmentations. If I was going to replace anything in my body, it would be my legs. And I think I have good reasons for that. Those are the only limbs that I would actually prefer to have be augmented. Because I would then be able to walk effortlessly. You wouldn't need, even if the elevator was broke down, you could climb 100 flights of stairs and you would still be, you wouldn't even have broken a sweat. That's a bit harsh. You feeling spicy tonight? I thought we were friends. You want me to cry? Is that what you want? You want to see my tears? No, you can't. You can't. You can link in Discord if you have me on Discord or on Steam. Feels like a fucking Quake level. Level design is so basic. But yeah, watching my own parents grow feeble inspired me, I think, 2 years ago to start going to the church. Not the church, the gym. Same thing, just different topic of worship. I already had been lifting weights at home for 3 years, but incompletely. Not expertly. I'd been doing only a couple different exercises. Like bench pressing with the bench press. Using the dumbbells to do curls and then raising them over my head. Or lying down on the platform and then lifting them to my side. So it was really good to go to a proper gym and have a much wider variety of machines and work out all my muscles equally because I was unequally working them out. That wasn't good. I feel much better. I used to feel tired all the time, even if I hadn't done anything. I was just all the time tired. If I exerted myself, I would also feel tired, but I just felt tired just standing. And now that's not really the case anymore. Fair enough. I agree about that, which is why I started going to the gym. I don't skip leg day. I used to. Like I said, it's gotten better because I have started going to the gym and doing leg exercises. I'm still a lightweight. I leg press about 130 pounds. I could do more, but not at the same time as also doing a useful number of reps. Like I do 20 to 30 reps depending how I'm feeling. At 130 pounds, which I don't think that's great, but it's also like every little bit helps, and if I do it frequently enough. It's a lot fucking better than nothing, which is what I was doing before. Besides that, I also use the exercise bike for 30 minutes on not the high, almost the highest setting, but not quite. It's on like level 15 or some shit. Ooh woo, what the fuck is this? There was a second... All 4. I need 4 of these. Okay, so that was the problem before. Is I didn't have 4 of them. We were talking about that before, about how people who carry weight naturally develop big muscles. And then, because my dad has been heavy his whole life, but he's been losing weight very rapidly as he gets towards the end of his life. And he still has the muscle, though. Like, the fat has melted away, but he still has the muscle he built from carrying it, so he still gets around just fine. 26 point damage increase. That's much appreciated. I also have 2 hammer blueprints. I need 2 more. And then I'll have the verdant crusher, which will let me smash the rocks. Which I've seen a bunch of places to use that. Oh, there's a Singaporean company I want to talk to you about. Nestron. Do you know anything about them, Strider Gift? They make basically looks like a fancy trailer. It's a little pod house that starts at 46 grand. It actually looks really nice inside, but it is basically just a upscale trailer. I was still considering it because it's about the right size. I wonder if you can put that in a neighborhood or you have to put it in a trailer park. That's because we got the fucking R-word strength. Of course we clean up at the gym. I have noticed that women look at me now, but they're not the women I want. But I guess that's an improvement over none of them looking at me. I guess I just didn't notice before because I thought that was just people being polite and not intrusive. But I guess it was just me being unappealing to everybody. But ever since I hit the gym for as long as I have and started getting leaner and more muscular, now women I have no interest in that are like twice my weight and look like Shrek will flirt with me and give me their numbers. I'm like, no, I'm good. I would rather rather eat my own arm off to get out of a bear trap than avail myself. That's how it starts, though, right? That's like leveling up slowly. Yeah, and it struck me as strange too. I didn't think such a business would exist in in Singapore, given that there's not any room for their product. Yeah, Lady Shrek's today, Princesses tomorrow. Let's not go crazy walking everywhere, but yeah, I already have cut soft drinks. I still drink sweet tea, though. I don't know if I could give up sweet tea without just losing all my will to live. Yes, which indicates to me that I'm halfway to where I need to be. That's like my progress meter. Is that when I notice women in lower weight classes starting to show interest, it means I'm on the right right path. Well, I wouldn't rule out a heavy young lady if we actually got along and had a lot in common. I'm also growing less superficial and more interested in meeting somebody that I could actually stand to spend a large portion of my life with. It's pretty rare that that coincides reliably with physical beauty. But I sure hope it does, because, you know, the cost-benefit analysis already doesn't work out very favorably, so there better be a compelling case for it if you're going to go down that road. I should say risk-reward, to sound less mercantile. Most of the machines that I use to work out my back also stress my arms a lot. I'm not really worried, but feels like I need to give it a break from time to time, because it's that one machine where you like, it's like you're a bird spreading your wings, kind of. They've got those big swing arms. It's hard to describe. At least we have two different attacks. Even if it doesn't seem to really make any difference. Doesn't make a bit of difference, guys. The balls are inert. That's the catch-22, isn't it? As you get more muscular, you get heavier. Muscle weighs more than fat. I like being bulky, though. Is there an opposite of gender dysphoria where you're not just comfortable being your gender, but you like it? I like being a man. I like being a big, chunky, manly man with big, bulky muscles. Muscles. I definitely feel at home in this body, and I like how useful it is. Oh, is Singapore one of those countries that has mandatory service for youth? Like, I think Sweden has that? Or is it Finland? Well, this is not great, but it's also not as bad as I thought it was. The more progress I make in this, the more it grows on me. I don't think they like dad bods. I think they persuade themselves they do because that's what they can get. I don't want a dad bod. I'm pretty far from that now. Or maybe I'm just lying to myself. I'm happy with my arms and my chest and my back. I don't really have I mean I have abs, but they're underneath a layer of fat. So I definitely need to get rid of that. So the problem is not so much building muscle anymore as it is losing fat. We might have to move on to another game. I might have maxed out progress for this evening. So some of you may know, but my mother fell down the stairs some weeks ago. She went to the hospital. I was really pessimistic, but she came back, and her cognitive issues turned out to be due to urinary tract infection, probably also why she fell. She seems to have made a full recovery. She's exactly how she was before. Better than I could have reasonably expected. Then my dad went to the hospital. He almost lost consciousness while driving and managed to get to a parking spot before that happened, and a paramedic found him. Like, a guy who happens to work as a paramedic happened to find him there, which is much too chance for my liking. Anyway, they took him to the hospital and found out his blood sugar dropped precipitously. And they think what happened is he over-medicated. He forgot that he'd already taken his diabetic medication, or his insulin, that day, and he accidentally took it again, which can cause that to happen. So that's been harrowing. He's back too. He's fine for the time being. But it's having my parents in and out of the hospital, both of them, these past 2 weeks has been really eye-opening and has got me thinking about topics I don't really want to think about. Yes, Pog. Yes, Pog. Get booped because they're both fine. They're both fine for the time being. It's just seems like plausibly the beginning of a downward spiral, where the issues are only going to get more and more frequent from here on out. Which I hope I'm wrong about, but I'm pessimistic about the chances. I think I'm going to quit for tonight. There's only so much of this I can tolerate. Until I find a new breakthrough and get to a new area. Alright, it's time to quit. Uh-oh, what happened? Did I fucking freeze it? Looks like I might have. Let's do something else then. We're almost to the end of the time. I didn't mean to stream that as much as I did. Let's play some spooper games. It's goddamn spoopy season. How old are they? They're 75. Thereabouts. I can't tell how old my mother is because she won't tell the truth. But she's about the same age as my dad. My dad says he's 75. Thank you for your well wishes and the comfort, Get Booped. I value that a lot lately. Sorry to hear that, Tom. 11. It really stinks. There's nothing to be done about it, though. If there's going to be such a thing as immortality, it's not going to come in time to save my folks. Sure is cold tonight. Sure is cold tonight. Although it's nice to get out of that subway every now and then. It gets tiring sitting all day asking strangers for change. 340 is all I got today. Not much, but it should keep me going for now. Let's try and get some sleep. Let me buy some of the dollar money for that. Another shooting. City's getting out of hand. If I have a look. Are you sure about that? Oh, gamepad support. Hot damn. What is this aspect ratio? This ain't good. You listen. You gotta take this, please. Don't let it take the case. It might take from someone else. Sorry. Oh hey, it unfroze. It's here. You see it? Only we can see it now. Can you get out of here? So we're down here. I'll get the last train now. Well, this immediately got spoopy. I shouldn't laugh at that. What's wrong with me? They intentionally gave Alzheimer's to animals. Look at this last train. Get off at the last stop and find somewhere. That's it for the night. I guess that helps them understand that there's definitely a causal link with gut bacteria. Try to open it, but it won't budge. Try to force it when to get open. Wait a minute. Where'd I put my ticket? Must have dropped it when I was running away from that creep. I need another to get through the exit. Just a bit short on funds right now. It's followed me. How can no one else see it? Doesn't matter. I get to the station. I don't like that sound. I don't like the sound. Interesting concept. I can't say I've ever seen a game like this in the horror genre. Buck 20. Didn't I have more before this? This makes me profoundly uncomfortable. It's the plot from It Follows, basically. No. I don't like this. Q key. Alright, Q key. I'll come back to this. That was memorable, at least. The worst sin would just be being forgettable for a game in this genre. There's a game I wanted to try out. I don't know how long it is. Seemed right for this channel. I guess we'll find out. You'll be my guinea pigs. Do we have doctors in chat today? Or any of you medical professionals? Windows are going. We may go overtime tonight, just because this is likely to be a longer game than I signed on for. But I don't want to do it in 2 streams. In my dreams, I see this house, Silent Hill. Silent House. I feel it calling for me. Dipshit. Dipshit. Oh, me too. There was an episode of Doctor Who that was unfortunately very similar to the short story I wrote before I knew about it. The one where they're, I think it's called Gridlock, where they're on a planet where everyone's in traffic all the time, and everybody lives their whole life in traffic. I wrote one very similar to that called The Slog. Whatever I do, I can't stop thinking of this house in Mariana. Interesting fucking presentation. Although I feel a little bit silly playing a game that shows me letterbox 16 by 9 on a 21 by 9 monitor and doesn't just expand to fill. The windows are gone. It seems like a house without any windows would be kind of liminal and unsettling. What if anyone's ever built such a thing? Taking one day at a time. How was the funeral? I wish I could have been there for you. I didn't go, couldn't do it. I understand she would have understood too, you know that, right? Right. What about your new house? It's in Mariana, right? Quite a long way from home. Yeah, I'm on my way there now. Actually, I'll text you once I'm there. Alright, be careful on the road. Love you. I mean, they're making a point with that one, a very facile point. That getting everything you want all the time is a monkey's paw wish. Alan Watts talked about that. Oh wow, the sensitivity is whacked out. That's still a bit much. That's much more like it. Where'd the box go? Oh shit, it's a Nokia. That doubles as a weapon. That's cute. Seems pretty well made. Can I turn off the low resolution? Depth of field on, VHS effect off. Bit imposing. Why is the fence tilted inward? Isn't it supposed to be tilted outward to keep people from getting in? You ever known any Jehovah's Witnesses? They're not allowed to have birthdays. Did you know that? They don't celebrate their birthdays. If you don't convert, they eventually have to stop being friends with you. The only reason they make friends is to convert them. Everyone knows they don't do blood transfusions, but they also don't do birthdays, or I think most other holidays. I don't know if they do Easter. I would imagine they do Easter and Christmas. I don't know for sure though. Click is run. Pretty standard stuff. Looks like a 1970s house by the decor, 60s, 70s. I tried to be friends with a Jehovah's Witness girl. Kind of, not genuinely. That's on me. It's just because she was smoking hot. It was one of the few times I've ever tried to date a religious person, and it seemed like I had a chance, but we had an agreement initially not to talk about religion. This was the ballerina, I think, and not professional, I think hobbyist, and the agreement quickly turned into, like, the terms changed over time. To, I can talk to you about religion, but you can't talk to me about your point of view. And if you don't like that, then this isn't going to work. And it didn't work. Eventually, she decided that I was not a godly man, which she should have known from the start. I never made any secret of it. I was about ready to start pretending, though. She was God, she was smoking. She had that willow tree body that all the ballerinas have, where she's like slender but also like muscular and just lovely. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, they're just turbo Mormons. You know what they say? Mormon's gonna Mormon. And Jehovah's Witnesses are Mormons too. Mormon harder. Like the interactability so far looks pretty good. It's a bit of a small tub. You wouldn't be able to stretch your legs out. Really interactive. So there's a motion sensor on the toilet. I did not expect that. Or that's just a button or some shit. I can't really tell. There's no zoom button to get a closer look at things. I would really appreciate that. I do like when horror games do that, because they have a lot of little items you have to look closely at. I was talking about that with friends of mine, about how belief in heaven may have originated when, like, an ancient man had to comfort his Alzheimer's mother, because my mother has Alzheimer's, and it comes and goes. It's better some days and worse than other days. But the other day, she started asking where her own mother was, and searching up and all around the house for her. And I had to explain to her, your mother's dead. And she started crying because it was like the first time she knew about it. And she said, does Mom know? I'm like, who? My mother. Does she know what? That your mother's dead? No, she's like, my mom's dead. And she started crying again. And she just got stuck in a loop. And I quickly realized, hey, I can't tell this person the truth. If I tell this person the truth, it's just going to lock them into a never-ending misery loop, where she rediscovers and reprocesses the grief of losing her mother over and over. And I don't want to subject my mother to that. We then discussed the possibility that the ones who wind up catatonic have just had their memory loop interval shrink to 0. Because right now my mom's memory loop interval is about 5 minutes. After about 5 minutes, she forgets what we were talking about, and she starts repeating the same phrase again. Which is, does my mother know? And then she'll ask, why have you been keeping this from me? How can I trust you? Because she thinks the reason that she didn't know it until now is that the rest of her family has been lying to her or not telling her things. And it's heartbreaking. It really, really hurts in a way that almost nothing else in life can hurt. It's a really unique kind of suck. But what I anticipate is that the interval will just get smaller and smaller until she's asking me the same question every 2 or 3 seconds. And then I suppose when it reaches zero, she just lives in a perfect eternal now, living in the present all the time. Which maybe that's peaceful. Maybe that's where her peace will come from. Maybe that's what the afterlife is. You're just living in what seems to you like a time-dilated, eternal moment. Everlasting moment. And the camera. Same house. You couldn't generate this with AI? Thank you. Something off though. It's like there's an underlying tension, a sense of unease that's hard to describe. Maybe it's just me, but I get this feeling that things aren't as perfect as they seem. We're attempting to bite it overwhelmed his actual intentions. That's written on his face. It ends where when one of the kids trips and falls to the ground while the other mother tends to the crying boy. The father sits into his files. Smile fades away. You're feeling intrusiveness, like he's caught me prying on his personal life. The tape ends. Weird feeling. Where they are now. They moved away a long time ago, or are they still together? Or at the same time. Interesting, unexpectedly melancholy moment. I was expecting Spooperman to jump out, not for feelings to jump in. So what did you think of the fabulous, on a lighter note, the fabulous Atari VCS next generation HD home console video computer system? Were your socks blown off? Are you going to run out and buy one for $180? Although sometimes they're on... Typically they're around $180 to $200 right now, used. But Best Buy liquidated their stock a while back for $99. So there are deals occasionally. If a wizard turned me into the CEO of Atari tomorrow and said, you have to... First of all, he would say, yeah, wizard, wizard! Because wizards are like Pokemon and they say their own name. But, yeah, I don't want to dwell on it right now. But if you had to sell it to people, it is a microcomputer. It's a Ryzen microcomputer, and those regularly sell for about $300. So $200 is not a bad deal. It's just an unusual shape. My strategy is mostly not thinking about it and pretending it's not happening. Which doesn't seem sustainable in the long run, probably. Those look like the trees in Donkey Kong's level in Mario Kart 64. I mean, I'm going to have no family left, immediate family, within a decade or less. And that's a fact. Before I'm 50. I don't have to figure out... And it's so hard. It's so hard because old people are childlike in a lot of ways. You can't have adult conversations with them about things like wills or about how do I take care of this house when you're gone, because they don't believe. At least my dad doesn't believe he'll ever be gone. And my mother, if you suggest anything mildly unpleasant, she bursts into tears. She was socialized in a different time, and she doesn't. She just cries at everything. Sometimes, also because of her hormonal imbalance due to her hysterectomy. So, I can't have that conversation with her. She just cries and cries and cries, and then she forgets what she was crying about, and then she's fine. I can't talk to Dad because he doesn't believe he'll die. I think he does academically, but he keeps saying, "Oh, I got 20 more years in me." I got 20 more years in me. He's been saying that since he was like 60. You don't have I know. That means a lot to me, man. Friendships are never more important than at a time like this. And they can be really nourishing. But he doesn't have 20 more years. It's just it's a moving goalpost. And it makes it impossible for him to teach me basic things like what utility company do I need to call in order to arrange transfer of payments from your account to my account. How do I pay property taxes? It's interesting. Strider GIF is talking about the trope of evil old people being more comprehensible to audiences than a good one. And at least the evil old man is still sharp, because it just gets uncomfortable and sad if they're not, because everybody over a certain age has experience with someone in their life and Alzheimer's. It's just really sad, and in a way that you're not prepared for. Just watching them slowly wither. Funny transition, but there's a Doom wad like this that's about dementia and slowly losing your faculties, where textures disappear towards the end of the map, and you can't beat it. It's an unbeatable map. You just keep going and until it's just a gray void. Then there's that album about it, where it's just the music that repeats on a 15-second loop. Something or other at the end of time, I believe. I forget the full name. I cry listening to that. It's so spot on. I don't know why I do that to myself. I'm already dealing with shit. Why would I expose myself to material that's going to make it worse? Maybe just for the comfort that there's someone out there who understands it in the same way that I do. Who also makes art. I'm not saying that I'm the only person who understands what it's like to have a parent with dementia by a long shot. I just said the opposite earlier. You know what I mean, though? Yeah, I don't want to lie to them. And complicating matters is that my mother is still cogent enough that I can ask her questions about how she wants me to deal with her memory loops. And she said, no, don't lie to me, because if you lie to me and I remember that you lied, I won't be able to trust you. And I need to be able to trust you because I'm going to be more and more dependent upon you and in your care to handle me when I can't remember things. And that's going to be a scary experience if I feel like I can't trust the person taking care of me. Which checks out. It makes sense. But I don't know if it's really tenable in the long run. Like, eventually, I can't just watch her grieve her mother over and over. Or my sister, for that matter. She doesn't forget me yet, but she forgets things about me, like my partial deafness or the noises I sometimes make as a consequence of a deformed trachea. She'll ask what those are, why I made that noise. I have to explain to her the same, and then she'll ask again in 5 minutes if I do it again. Oh boy. Life is sure needlessly cruel and awful at times, isn't it? There's a horror story, but I'm sure someone's already done it. She'll get used to this bed. That is a thin mattress. That is a whisper thin mattress. That's like a fucking McDonald's hamburger patty. Or it's like just a meat fruit roll-up. Do you think shrinkflation will advance to the point where if you open a bag of potato chips, it's just all air? It's just like potato scented air, and you inhale it? There's no controls on the outside. I'm overlooking the keys someplace. Kind of already eerie just going through people's things. That's one of the things you leave behind that's almost like a fossil. Like a fossil is the imprint of the animal that was there that's not anymore. But about the mud conforms to its shape and preserves a record of what the animal looked like. We kind of leave fossils too. And all of our unfinished business. Your house is a fossil if you leave it exactly set up the way that you wanted it. Your choice of decorations is a fossil that you leave behind. And someone who never saw you and never knew your name could go through your clothes and go through your music and go through your belongings and potentially get a pretty accurate picture of what sort of person you were. That's a real thing. I don't want to fucking black pill you or anything, but there is such a thing as a single chip. The whatever it's called, like the death chip, the Reaper, where it comes in a cardboard coffin. It's not that the bag is small, Stratagift, it's that it's too large for what it contains. It's been ongoing for many years, is that the number of actual chips in there shrinks. Originally it was because they didn't want the chips getting fractured in transit, I think. But now it's just because they can sell us less chip. I know. But I mean that we leave behind social skeletons. Like imprints of our lives in the form of our living spaces and our selection of belongings. It's like a tangled puzzle that you can put together after the fact. Skeletons aren't real. They invented them for horror games and to sell milk. To make us believe that we need calcium. Next you're gonna fucking tell me that the Queen of England is real, or penguins. What am I doing wrong? Do I have a flashlight? F is the use key in this. What kind of depraved barbarian makes a game where F is the use key? Is that an international issue? Are the letters different? Is it an artifact of like the Argentinian alphabet being slightly off or some shit? Yeah, the thing you want to do, that your heart tells you is right to do, when your elderly mother keeps learning over and over that her own mother is dead, is you want to tell her that her mother is somewhere beautiful and peaceful and comforting. It's so intuitive and so automatic. It's hard to believe that's not how the teaching came about in the first place. It's just comforting someone with Alzheimer's who wants to know where someone is who's not going to come home again. I want to do it. It feels almost as if this is not possible to deal with if you don't retreat into delusion somewhat, and it also makes sense of what could break your heart so irrevocably that it also breaks your mind. I'm still functional though. I'm like that vending machine from that meme. The light inside is broken, but I still work. Not that it's about me. My concerns now are just to make her comfortable and to keep her muscles work like exercised. The only safe exercise she can do is swim though. I kind of need to find out if they have elderly supervised swimming, because if my dad supervises her and he passes out because of low blood sugar again, he will drown and then she will drown. Unless they stay in the shallow end. Actually, never mind. That actually won't help. Never mind. Fuck. At times like this, it really helped to be a millionaire at least, so that I could afford the kind of services that she needs. The thing is, I do sort of believe in the possibility of recreating historical deceased people materially, using something like very advanced forensics to retrieve past configurations of matter from the entropic scrambled aftermath. No, listen, when we were at the hospital, she was cold, right? So I took off my jacket and I put it on her, but because I had my phone, my wallet, and my car keys in the pockets, it was too heavy for her to walk with the jacket on. That's how borderline she is. Like, she's currently just strong enough to stay upright. I wish you hadn't said that, Tom 11. That's not what I need to hear right now. Oh boy. Oh boy. It seems as though it'll get worse before it gets better. What the fuck do I do in this game? I'm looking for keys, but it's probably life-sized. It's probably small enough. Is it under the couch cushions? Can I crouch? I can crouch. You mean the game? Or is there a new RoboCop movie? I played the game. I streamed it. Rogue City. It was absolutely superb and everything I dreamed it possibly could be. I could not have asked for any more. There's so much content in the demo, too. Oh, there's a new movie? Is this a new movie or is this the game? Don't you play with my heart. Movie or game, though? What are you talking about? Are you talking about the game? Thank you, Tom 11. Thanks for mostly being comforting. I grow to appreciate more and more how important that is as a skill set. I've not seen a key anywhere. Oh. I wonder if that's plot centric then, or if it's just Easter eggs, because they put a lot of Easter eggs in the Terminator game. Like the remains of the Tech Noir nightclub and the arm from the end of Terminator 2. So I wouldn't get too excited. I would say maybe they're just there for you to find as Easter eggs, or maybe that's part of the plot and you get to fight them. Maybe they get revived and those are boss battles or some shit. I've accomplished fucking nothing in this game or life. The game of life. I really just should have been a lawyer or engineer. Instead, I had to be a writer. I had to do the most difficult thing to make any good money at. Because there's a billion other people who want to be writers and think that they're just as good, and it's impossible to get noticed, and I chose to do it. So, at the fucking dawn of generative AI, which was the worst time in history to do it, I sure can pick them. Maybe the key's outside. Like underneath the mat or something. In here. 675. Sorry, I'm supposed to be unloading boxes, aren't I? At least we'll get some shit done. Oh, that sounds ominous. That sounds like Soma. Okay, then it is a boss fight. Confirmed, they're animated and rigged. Rigged and animated. That bodes well. Have you played the demo yet? Start a GIF? Holy moly. They really got it. They never lost it. It feels just like the fucking movies. It's hard to believe that it's the same Teon that made Rambo. I kind of wish they'd just do more Terminator forever, but they've done so much, especially with the DLC, they've done so much Terminator. It would be kind of selfish to ask for yet more. I triggered some music. I wish I inherited a house like this. Not that way, though. You know what I mean? I wish I just had random relatives that passed away instead of being people in my immediate family and I inherited enormous estates from them. I could have started a family by now. Somebody's got to get parking tickets. Not because you want to, because no one else will. This happens so often in horror games. I guess it only happens to people from wealthy families. Makes kind of like how Kevin McAllister was fucking loaded, or his family was loaded in Home Alone. Meow. Master bathroom. Is that in the master bedroom? It is in the master bedroom. Fuck. Wonder if I get penalized if I put these in the wrong places. I'd rather not find out. I'm over time, but I'm gonna keep going. I don't know how long this game is or if I can save. Oh, I have a cuddle a cat. Oh, she's cuddling on my chest. Oh, kitten cat. I love you so dearly. You'll stay with me for a long time, won't you? You won't disappear. I think actually I should quit. I might have to do this all in one go. We'll definitely come back to this. We had, I think, a pretty full stream tonight, though, all in all. I'm pretty pleased with it. I think things turned out well. Especially Atari, that was fun. Just being a reprehensible hipster. I'm going to do more of that. That's a threat and a promise. I'm going to be streaming anything I can find that's cheap and obscure that has an HDMI output. Because anything will work as long as it outputs 720p or 1080p. That includes a lot of shitty plug-and plays. That includes a lot of knockoff consoles. My dream get, maybe Strider, you can help me with this. I can't find one anywhere on eBay. Some years ago, in like 2018, there was a Chinese Xbox equivalent called the Subor Z Plus. Subor is the game company that made it. Linus Tech Tips, play tested it on his channel, and went over why consoles always fail in China and why PC gaming is so dominant there. In large part because the government banned consoles for over a decade. I would be really interested in finding a cheap one that has a bunch of games already loaded onto it. I don't speak a lick of Chinese. Maybe you could help me with that over the stream. I don't know if you speak it either. Probably at least one of my followers does. It would be really interesting, though. That's one of my holy grails, is the Subor Z Plus. Because it's a peek into an alternate timeline. A Subor Z Plus. SUBOR space Z and then plus sign. That's exactly the reaction I want, though, is at what? I want to stream machine, like, things that I can't emulate. Ideally. That are really obscure and weird. Hello, cat. She's curled up in my arms already. She has been so cuddly and affectionate ever since it got cold out. In cold weather, she's really clingy, because she's a heat vampire. You little fuzzy worm loaf. That is exactly what you are. I've got your number. So that's all for this time, and a sneak preview of what we're going to be doing in the future is trying to get a hold of a cheap used Ouya, so I can stream the Ouya library, which is apparently now free to download because it's a fan-maintained backend at this point. Like, one guy maintains the backend, which means it will be up for a limited time, probably not forever. So if I want to do that, I need to do it within the next 5 to 10 years maximum, which is plenty of time, but I still want to get on that. And then I also want to find someone who will sell me a Subor Z Plus. Okay, that's fair enough. I thought I'd ask. But wouldn't it be interesting to see? Wouldn't that be an interesting stream? To try to play Chinese games on a Windows-based console, I should say. You can boot it into Windows 10, I believe. So it is just a consoleized PC, which is what all consoles are these days anyway. It was very powerful for its time, but not compared to a PC even a mid-range PC of 2018. But that's all for this evening. Get at me again on Monday. Wow, it's the end of the week already. Same ham time, same ham channel at 7 o'clock p.m. West Coast time, 11 o'clock p.m. This is your friendly neighborhood ham dad signing off and returning you to your regularly scheduled sleepy time.